Okay, first and foremost, I just want to say that I do not condone or encourage anyone to partake in any of the activities that I have shared with you all, that I have experienced. When I say that we had a time, that was then, okay? When I talk to you in a lighter fashion and, you hear that I'm not as distraught as I should be, it's because I'm in the space where I am healed from the painful part of it all. This is why I'm able to share this all with you. And I know that there are people out there who have experienced the same, similar, or worse situations who are afraid to confront their shadows and their history. They tend to hide it from others and try to bury the past, but you have to confront that shadow. I'm not saying to do it out loud, such as I'm doing. I'm just here to be a pillar, I'm just here to be motivation to do so, even in silence. But I'm just saying, I don't condone any of this at all, because some of the times were wild, and looking back at it, it was just like, wow, for me as well. And if you continue to rock with me and listen, I appreciate you. If this is just too much for you to listen to and to bear, I also understand, because I had to live it, But as far as my journey, I stopped being ashamed of it and realized that these are also the experiences that allow me to understand other people and their characteristics and their personalities better. People will look at my story like it's frowned upon, and I get that, but at the end of the day, this is why I have such an easier time communicating with people and, feeling people out and reading people, because I have had to experience different relationships, friendships, and energies and entities. I have had to cross paths with so many that at this point you could tell me your name and I already know what's up. you know Real, I could look at you and I already see the aura. I already know, so I'm grateful to have overcome these things. I'm grateful to still be alive and well today, well enough to share this with you all and to overcome this, because it had weighed me down for so long and I had blocked my blessings living in that cycle. I'm just glad to have overcome it. So we're going to get into the continuum of my wild life and the boy crazy part, before overcoming all of that, because I've always been a sucker for love. I've always been a hopeless romantic because my heart was big, although I went through what I went through. So me being misguided and not knowing what it meant to love me first is why I allowed myself to endure such things. But thankfully, again, I'm overcoming that, and I have overcome that part at least. So I love that you're still here with me, and let's get into the rest, okay? So you already know, I told you about me living in these different spaces, or chilling in different spaces. And I told you about the late ex. So now this is a few years later, well, about a year or two later. And that was about, I would say, 2012. And I had kept in touch with my late ex and I's old plug and had became cooler over time with him, because I got a little too comfortable with the nigga, actually. Because I really be chilling, And that was always me, smiling, waving, and quietly chaotic. I'm not going to lie. But I was always a dancer too. So if there was music, I had the spot lit. But I had went from the cheerleader and dance groups and dancing at Claremont days to straight niggerdom, because of everything that I explained. So I got along with the guys easily because we had many of the same interests. And I was doing the same things at this point, We love to be free. We love to chill, talk, talk shit, drink. We both loved women, boxing, MMA, UFC, sex, butt, money, you name it, And it was a vibe all the time. At least that's what we found it to be. That was toxicity. That's what that was. So it had got to a point where I told him I needed a sugar daddy, and he was shocked, but he understood and called one of his mans for me. And I got there and was looking like, what was that for? Because I did not want him, y'all. He was cool and we chopped it up for a while, but I could already tell I would have to force myself to stay in the game, okay? And I know many people are listening like, ain't that what you're supposed to do? I had my times, I had my wild moments, but I was still very selective, to a point where it would even get some people mad. Like, how you talk to such and such and not me? Because I'm selective, okay? I am, and it is what it is. And I know that hurt your feelings, but that's okay. It was what it was, and it is what it is. And it's going to be what it's going to be. I was bold too, because who was his mans over there in the cut all quiet, handling his scandal and minding his business? That's that shit I liked, okay? Sorry to that man, but I like to talk, and he was overly talkative, so that speaks volumes, especially for a man. So I went and took me a seat at the table with old boy, and it was a match instantly. Unbeknownst to me, that would have eventually became something more long-term than I expected, and what made it even crazier was he was the actual plug me and my ex was getting it from. I later found out, but I never met him because he was locked up, and he was just finding out that I was the girl he was hearing about. As wild as this seems, this made us more attracted to each other. And what you mean you was moving and shaking from them walls? You different. I liked his energy, and I loved that he didn't mind meeting me where I was at because we didn't want a relationship. We was on our own timing and would meet right back in the middle. Eventually, we started working together too, and he really got to see the wolf in me, not realizing that was unknowingly the beginning of our unspoken relationship. Now, I would say we were like Bonnie and Clyde, which a lot of people had said, but Clarity and the delegates deemed it, okay? More so Harley and Joker. I gotta be real with myself before anything, for real. It was very much a toxic relationship and confusing, so I was more so focused on the mission and myself again. So I thought, because I had also ended up talking to one of my friends I was doing music with on Cortland after a while, and baby, let's get into that.